Hey, thanks for coming back. So today I'm going to be doing a DIY denim skirt from a project that I had did before. I didn't like the way that it came out. So I took that fabric and I'm going to be using it to do this skirt. It's a classic A-line skirt. It's real easy to do. You can do it different variations, different ways. That's the beauty of it. But before we get started, do not forget to like and subscribe so you can see more DIYs and family vlogs and home decor and all that good stuff. All right, let's get right into it. So the first thing you're going to need to do is get your measurements. So like I said, my measurements have changed. So I'm just going to grab up, you would just do it on yourself, your waist. And then you would take that measurement and then you would go down a bit and you would get your hips at the widest point. And then you would also get from where on your waist to where you want the skirt to stop. And those are just the 3 measurements that you will need. Okay, so like I said, this was a project that I had started for another project, so you could see the jeans that I had cut open there, and I was gonna do the contrasting stripes like in the middle, but I didn't like the way the colors looked together, so I changed it. But I basically just cut a bunch of different strips. So I just took the fabric and tore, because it's cotton, it's woven, so it's easy to tear, but you can also just cut it straight across if you want. And you can also cut the strips in different sizes. So you can have different sizes if you would like also. But I did all mine basically around the same size because that's the look I was going for. Once I got enough strips for what I was doing for that project, I began to lay them out to see the pattern and how I wanted it to go, because I wanted the stripes to go, different ways and, do different things and have, types of movement. But I worked in sections because when I'm sewing it, it's going to be easier to sew it in sections, because if you're have one stripe going one way and one going another way and you're sewing them together, it's harder to do it once it's all together. But once I got a section done, I began to pin it face to face. So I'm using both sides of the fabric, so face to face is like face to the back, different ways. But whichever way you want it to come out when you're done, you're going to pin those 2 faces together. And then once I was done with that, I began to try to just see how the other sections were going to go. You have to, if you're going on an angle like I did, you're going to have to cut it so that it falls and, lines up right. So whatever degree angle. I'm not good at that one, so I don't know what degree that angle was. So that's why I just slipped it under there to see where it would be cut off at, so that I could pin it together and begin to play with that section and see how that was going to come out. Like I said, I'm going to be sewing the sections though separately because that makes it easier, but I just wanted to get a feel. Then I just brought it over to the sewing machine and I began just doing a basic straight stitch. If you have a serger, you could do the serger to clean it up, make it real nice and neat. Pin it to keep it together, which is always a good idea. I don't always use pins, but you should, to keep your projects together and keep it from slipping. Once I was done with that section, then I was able to go on and move to the next section. So you can see how they're going different ways. So that's why I worked in the sections. And this is how it was going to look underneath the other skirt. But like I said, I changed it. So being that I don't have a pattern, you can make yourself a little mock pattern. So what you would do is say, take your waist. Say if your waist was 30, you would divide that 30 in half. And then that would be 15. Being that both sides are the same, I only need half of that half measurement. So you divide it into 4s. So you take 1/4 and you do that, and then you can add for a seam allowance. I generally add about 1 inch so that I can have a lot to hack off if I need to and play around with if I go, too big or too small, whatever, which way. But you can always go down, but you can't go up. So add as much seam allowance as you feel you need. And then you're going to go down to where your hips would be, and then again divide your hip measurement into 4s and then add in the seam allowance, and then you're just going to cut it on an angle. So it's 1/4 of your waist, go down to where your hips fall, 1/4 of your hips, and go in, and then that's half of the front pattern and half of the back pattern. So you would cut it on the fold to get the full front. You get what I'm saying? I hope you do. So it wasn't enough for me to do it and fold it with these pieces that I had. So I tried to play around with it to see if I can position it the right way. but the shape wasn't there for me to be able to fold it in half. So what I'm just going to do is just use the pattern for half of the skirt. So it'll be half on the front and it'll be half on the back. And then the other side, I'm going to do solid. So I'm just going to take another piece of fabric and do it solid. So once I got the shape, I'm just going to clean up around the outside of it because like it's uneven. So just to cut around the hip way and cut around the waist to make it even. And then I'm going to use that piece to cut the second solid piece for the side. If you had a full piece, you could just fold it and it would just be one piece for the front, one piece for the back. But like I said, I'm working with scraps, so I wasn't able to do that. So I'm just going to sew those right to right, front to front, so that I can get two full pieces. I did the same for the front as I did for the back. And that's really it. I'm going to put my zipper on the side. If you were going to put your zipper in the back or in the front someplace, you would leave the front seam open or the back seam open so that you can put your zipper in there. But I'm not doing that. I'm going to put my zipper on the side, which is easier. You can use whichever zipper, an invisible zipper, a regular zipper. I'm just using the zipper that I had around. It wasn't that long because I just needed to go down. You just need it really to go down to about your hips so that you can open and close the skirt putting it on. So like I said, I sewed it all around. I left one side open to be able to put in the zipper. And see, so like I said, it's quick and easy. So that's basically it. So you take the zipper and you line it up the way that it's gonna go. So when you put the zipper, you want it to flip down so that when you're done, it flips back. I can't explain zippers, but you'll know when you lay it out. And if you've done it before, if you didn't, just pin it so you can play around with it and make sure it's gonna lay out right. So once I did that, then I'm just gonna close up the rest of that side seam. You could leave some open for a slit, but I'm not using a slit. And I'm gonna do a waistband. So for the waistband, I'm gonna do it about 3 inches or so. So what you just wanna do is measure around the waist that you have there and just make your waistband. This, I'm using the, the selvage piece of the fabric. So one part is already, closed off. So it's not really gonna fray. So I just have to sew the top parts together where, everything is cut at. So what you're gonna do is just do it again face to face. So right side to right side, line it up from one end to the other end. And then when you fold it, it'll look, nice. Because you have the zipper there already, you don't want it to lay the way that it would when the zipper was closed. You want it to lay the way that when the zipper was open. So make sure you don't make that mistake when you're closing that up. So once I was done with that, I sewed those pieces together, and then I just want to clean up the edge. The hem is raw, so that's not going to be an issue. And then for the top waist, you want it to tuck in because you're not going to see it. So you just make sure you fold it back in so the zipper can close nice and all of that. And I just top stitched it all the way around, and it was basically done. Well, it is done. That's it. So it's quick, it's easy, it's simple. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I explained it well. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.